Hey lads, and welcome back to another NRL Fantasy Fanatics video. Today we've got best fantasy players for every position, an updated version. We posted this about 2 weeks ago, but now we've got some more insights, so some of the players have changed. I am here with Will as always. How's it going, mate?
Yeah, I'm good, mate. How are you?
Yeah, good, thanks. So let's get into this without further ado. NRL fantasy overview. This is what the presentation will contain. Just the best players for each position in the upcoming season. We'll categorize the players into three price ranges: guns, mid-range, and cheapies. And then for each player, the top three will be highlighted that you should consider for your teams. So first player we have Latrell Mitchell. Bit of a no-brainer for the gun category in the wing fullback position. Yeah, after an injury-ridden 2024, he's going to be looking to bounce back. And with Wayne Bennett as the coach of South again, I feel like they really gel together, and Latrell will do much better this year. And I did see photos of him; he's looking fit and scary, so that's really good signs for him. He is a premium player, the most expensive fullback at 800k, but you pay for what you get. Like you can expect scores from Latrell from 60 to 90, and I reckon he can average 60 to 65 this year. So, what are your thoughts on Latrell? Well,
Yeah, really interested in Latrell. I think he's got goal kicking there and a better team than what he did last year, and he averaged very high last year. So I do think he can improve again with Wayne, the Wayne benefactor. Everyone performs better with Wayne, and yeah, I think he looks really good, a lot fitter this year. And I mean, it's one that will be hard. Like one week we get a 40, the next week he'll get an 80. But the thing I like about him is he's the only fullback that can score an 80 with running 150 meters or less. And I think for me that's got a lot of upside if he can get that up to 150 or more. So yeah, really interested in Latrell, and I think it'll probably be the one that I start with in round one.
yeah, currently in my team as well. Uh, if I'm gonna get a gun wing fullback, it's gonna be Latrell. So that's my option there. Next, we've got mid-range, and we've gone with Ruben Garrick just because of his value for money in our eyes. 583k for a center wing fullback duel who will most likely be on goal kicking. I feel there's actually a lot of upside and a bit of money to be made, and got great fixtures, relatively easy first four games, and their first buys in round nine. I can't really find too many negatives about him. Um, 583k, it's not, that's cheap for what Ruben Garrett can do. Should be playing in the centers, not the wing. And if you don't want to rock with a gun wing fullback like Latrell or Ponga, and you want to cash down a little bit, I think Ruben Garrick's your man. So what do you think about him, Will?
He's one that I'm a little bit interested in as a centre. I wouldn't touch him to go with my wing fullbacks because I think everyone kind of needs a gun, well, wing fullback to start with because you can't really be playing wing fullback roulette the whole season. But if you're going strictly off a lot of money to be made, could get 700k because a lot of games last year was concussion affected, and very good player who goal kicks on probably a better Seagulls team again this year. But yeah, I'd really be looking at him going into the center position instead of the wing fullback position, just because I think the center position is a lot harder to fill with less guns than the wing fullback position is.
Yeah, but I've got Ruben Garrick in my side as well, and I'm very keen on him. Goal kicking, center wing fullback duel, 583k, great player. So he's in my team. Next player, same as last time, our cheapie is Isaiah Longy, and for good reason. Value for money, 350k. I think he could almost be cash cow of the year. He'll be starting wing fullback for the Eels, and they'll be looking to improve in the 2025 season after a bit of a lackluster one last year. Um, and as you can see below, with a break even of only 26 going into round one, projected score of 35 according to the NRL app, he is projected to make money right off the go. And I feel all it takes is just a 50 to 55 point game, and he'll skyrocket in price, and you'll be kicking yourself if you don't own him. So, what do you think about Longy? Well,
Yeah, I think he's one that's very interesting, and I think most teams have to start with him because I mean, from what we saw, he got a 43 when he played for the Panthers. He's going to a worse team this year in the Eels, but the Eels might not be much worse if they can really pull their finger out of their ass and start showing what they are capable of with their team of capability there. But someone coming from the Panthers system who must be well trained, I think that he's got a lot of upside. But I also do think that it comes with a little bit of risk because he's just got small sample size.
Mm. I don't think there's an incredible amount of risk giving his 350k and he's 99% going to be starting wing fullback unless he gets injured in the preseason. So even if like you should start with him, if he could be your starting wing fullback, he's my starting wing fullback at the moment. And if he give him 3 weeks, if he's rubbish, then move him on. You'll probably lose about 10k. But if he's good, which he probably most likely will be, you'll probably make 50k. So there's really, I don't think there's much risk at all. Um, well, that does it for the wing fullback position. Our gun center, I've gone with Dylan Lucas, one I've got in my team as well. 672k. You pay for what you get. He had a great year last year, just with an average over 50, with many positional changes and role changes. Some games he'd come off the bench, some games he'd play center, some games he'd play edge. And I think I'm almost certain he'll lock in that 11 or 12 spot this year, probably 11 for the Knights. And great first three fixtures before the round four bye. I'd say lock him in before he hurts you. You could easily average 55. What do you reckon?
Well, I was tossing up between Bo Fermor or Dylan Lucas. I've gone with Fermor just because of his spot being set and Elupa 3-on-1, and I just got Tamale in my centers. But yeah, Dylan's definitely one that I'd look at. I think if Dylan can keep that edge spot, he's going to average 55 to 60 points with ease. I mean, he's a very good player. We all know what he can do, and I wouldn't say there's much risk in Dylan at all. Like, I think lowest he'll average at edge is 50. But for me, Fermor
Hmm.
just I think he's done it more. Last year, he had an average of about 55 at edge, and his spot's just a lot more locked up for me and close to an Origins prospect. And I think I really do prefer Fermor over Lucas, but I do think Lucas is one. If you want that green tick early on, then I think that you're going to need to start with a gun center in one of the positions because you can't afford to play center roulette. But I'd either go between Lucas and Bo Fermor, whoever you like watching the most.
Yeah, they both got the edge center duel, which is great. Like as I said here, they can fill up to three positions: a bench spot, an edge spot, and a center spot, which is great versatility. Yeah, both thermals a good option too, but if you don't want to play around with looping or anything like that, and you just want a gun edge or center that is going to be playing for round one, then I think he's your man. Mid-range, I've got another Knights bloke. I've got Bradman Best, who I'm getting more and more keen on as the season progresses, preseason progresses. 582k. I think you got to expect big things from Bradman this year. Um, After he had a bit of a slow start to the 2024 season with some scores around 30 to 40, and then at the back end he exploded with a score of 99, 100 and something, and some 80s as well. But I expect him to find some more consistent form this year, and I think he'll be a force to reckon with. And opening fixture against the Tigers, who they've got some good signings, but it might take him a bit to gel. And he averages 55.3. I expect him to kick things off with a bang and do some damage, and I want to be on the positive end of that and own him. So, what do you reckon about Bradman?
He's not one I'm very interested in at all. I think he played very well in that Origin game he played. But I just think Bradman's always had the up and down nature. And if I'm getting a center, I'd like a consistent center that just gets 50s for me every week and can go bang with a 70. And I think that's what a Fermor and a Lucas can do. And also, if I'm playing that much for a center, I want a center that doesn't play in the centers like a Fermor plays on the edge or someone that plays on the wing or fullback, for example. But definitely a good, interesting mid-range option if you are looking for a mid-range center. I do think that you're going to have to go with the up and down nature. I think that's just a player that Bradman is, but I mean, he can get 100 in any proven game and is a very good player. And as you said, he's peaked at 715k price point, so I think he could make a lot of money, but he could also start the season off slowly and go on a downward spiral.
Yeah, I just think the ceiling's too high to ignore, as we saw last year, almost two 100-point games. And I think Ponga will be fit and hopefully stay fit. And I think Best and Ponga will really work together. And I'm a big fan of that. So he's going to be in my team. until further notice, but I think he'll stay in my team.
He's one
And
I'm
the
willing to
cheapie,
let go for the keeper. Watching,
yeah, fair
pray
enough.
they don't go too well.
Cheapie center staying the same. We got Jack Bird here, 362k. Tigers man will explain Jack Bird because I think he's a no-brainer.
Yeah, Jack's definitely a no-brainer. As you say down there, 54 points from just over 70 minutes at lock, which I think he's going to be playing lock to start with. I don't know if he'll get to 70 minutes, but you can probably expect around 60 minutes for a 48 point average, for example. And I mean, if you're not taking 48 points in your centers, and if you're pairing him with a Bo Firma or a Dylan Lucas, you've got two players that don't play center. For me, that's the epitome of what I want in my centers, and I think he's going to have a lot of consistency and a lot of money to make early on. And there is an argument to make that he can get injury prone, but dual position and only a if he does get injured, not much money to lose there, not much risk at all, and I think the upside outweighs that injury downside.
Yeah, he's one of those players where he is a little injury prone, but at 362k, it's not like you're losing too much. So just put him in your team, starting center, starting edge even, or bench. It doesn't really matter. He's an absolute bargain. I was having this argument with someone in the comment section saying I said how I reckon Jack Bird will average 45, and then he said no way, he'll probably average more about 40. And I said if I can get a 362k center who's going to average 40, I'm still going to take that. And I don't think he'll average 40. I reckon he'll average 40, 45 to 47. So great option. Could be a great cash cow, make 200, 250k. Next position, we got the gun half. Nathan Cleary, this obviously didn't change, and there's obviously not much to say. 880k, still well underpriced. He's been over a mil before. Just lock him in your side, captain him every week, and then that's it. That's all you got to do. One of the easiest spots to fill. Anything else to add? There's probably not much to say.
I saw a team that didn't have Nathan Cleary at his team, and I'm like, mate, what are you doing
Yeah,
here? Like, what argument is there not to select Nathan Cleary? He's severely
you
underpriced.
could
He had such
you
a
could
great year.
say like you could want to anti-pot him, but even still, like why? Why just be different? Why do you have to be different? Like
Like,
he's gonna hurt you. He's gonna get the 80 to 90 point game pretty regularly. He's gonna do some damage. So just
getting
get
his
him in your team.
surgery
It's so
on
simple.
his shoulders, I think he's just going to be even better.
Mm. Hopefully he can stay injury free. He did have that obvious shoulder injury in the grand final, but he's been making great progress, so he'll be fine.
No brainer.
Um, Mid-range half, I've gone with Luke Metcalf after their preseason game. Um, I love the look of him in that trial game. He was playing seven instead of Tamari Martin, but he's tipped to play six in the actual season. Which if he's playing six, my interest is a little less. But if he can play seven, he's a lock in your team. Playing seven with goal kicking, and in that game against the Sharks, he had 366 kicking meters and even snagged a 40-20, which is great points. He was facilitating that Warriors attack, and he scored good points without even doing too many, getting too many attacking stats. So, what do you think about Metcalf?
I'm very interested in him after that. He looked really good in that trial, and I mean, I've been debating with myself all day. Do I get rid of Munster and just go from Luke Metcalf, who I'll never round two by? I have,
That's what I've done.
as of right now, fit both Munster and Metcalf in there, but I do think Luke, if he can stay fit, has a lot of money to make. Even at 5'8", we know he has a very good running game and goal kicking on top of that. I think Luke's close to a no-brainer too to fit in your
Yeah.
halves.
441k is almost in the cheapie range. He's a bit too expensive for a cheapie, but I wouldn't even say he's mid-range. He's like floating in between those two categories. He is so cheap. And if he can remain on kicking, goal kicking, which he most likely will, even if he does move to six with goal kicking for him, it won't probably change too much. He'll probably average another 2 or 3 points less, which is
He
fine.
could he could be
And
a
you just
Burton
gotta
that
hope that,
It could be a Burton who like plays six, but kicks more than actual main seven. Because Tamari's not a massive
yeah,
kicker at all, is he?
yeah, he's not.
Yeah.
Um, You just, I hope that what I think will happen is Metcalf, even if he plays six, he might just take control of the game. He might be a bit like a Jerome Luai, like have a big ball playing role and kicking role. So I think he's almost a lock in your side at the moment until maybe further notice. But I got rid of Munster for Metcalf, and I'm a big fan of that decision. So moving on, our cheapie once again, Sandon Smith. Let me just move that up here. Sandon Smith, 250k. Performance and affordability is the heading. He's shown us that he can do it at the top level, averaging 43 from just one game at 5'8", which is obviously not great sample size, but 38 from 7 games at halfback with a try, 0.7 try assists per game. Solid, very solid for a man of 250k. Um, I do think he'll play six though in main season, and Townsend will probably play seven. But I'm still, well, obviously, I think about 48% of people own him, and for good reason. He's just put him on your emergencies or your bench. He'll probably pump out 35 to 40, and it might be, as I said down here, slow cash generation, might be a slow burn, but he will end up making you cash. So with a round one break even of 19, all it takes is one nice score of like 45 to make some nice cash. So what do you think about Sandon?
Yeah, very interested in him. Plays on a very good Roosters team, and I think he'll have a really good season. If you're not looking at going sand, and there's someone that whoever gets that Cowboy seven between Purdue and Thomas Derby, you could also go off as your half cover. But
Hmm.
I think as of right now, my team, I'm going to go with both Derby and Sand and Smith. But yeah, very interested in Sand, and I think he has the stats to back it up, and is a very good player. We saw what he did in the preliminary final for the Roosters, and I think even when Walker's back, he could play Chad Townsend out of the team.
Yeah. Um, I was gonna put Derby in here, but I didn't just because I think Sandon Smith's spot is solidified and Derby's relying on that. He's obviously not a lock in there, but they've labeled Derby as the next Jonathan Thurston at the Cowboys, which is obviously a big call. But if he can get that spot, he is an absolute weapon. I've watched him before. He might be interchangeable for Sandon Smith, but at the moment, yeah, Sandon Smith locked that 6 or 7 position.
I
So
think you
I
can go
just
off
stick with
both
him.
though, because Derby plays wing
Yeah,
fullback
and
too.
no harm. Yeah, no harm. Next player, our gun edge, David Fafita. Um, sorry. Absolute fantasy weapon. And I thought he had a quieter year last year and still managed to average almost 60. Like he's unreal. The work this guy puts in, tackle buffs, tackles, running meters, line break assists, like he can do it all. The only problem is obviously that round one Titans bye. That might deter some coaches from having them in their team. But look, you can either maybe start with them, use them as a looping option, which can be great, and then or you can either pick him up round two or round three, even after seeing how he goes in round two. But you know what's coming with the feeder. 780k is actually underpriced a little, and he's not in my team, but he's in a fair few people's team, and for good reason. So, what do you think of Fafita, Will?
I'm not highly interested in Fafita. I think he doesn't have an amazing work rate out there, and we kind of saw him drop off a little bit in the back end of the season when he wasn't scoring as many tries. I also do think there's about three or four, five edges I'd put over him that I'm looking at getting, and yeah, just injury prone, coming off an ankle injury for me. Will be on a better tight end side, to be fair, and have Jaden Campbell next to him. So I think there's a lot of, if you like Dave Fafita, you can find a way to get Dave Fafita into your team and justify it. But if you don't want him, you can find a way not to get him in. And for me, I'm not starting with Dave Fafita, as I think Bo Fermor has just as much upside as him at 100k less and can play center position too.
Yeah, you did say that um he fell off a little bit in try scoring at the back end. He still averaged 60. Like he will, even if you think he has an off game, he'll still score 55 points. Like he just has a way of doing it. But yeah, the round one bye is annoying. If he didn't have that bye, I'd probably have him in my team, to be honest. But he does. But he's still our gun edge, and for good reason. Next player, I've got Tom Gilbert. I know you're not a fan, but about 25% of coaches are. And looking coming around to him, he's very injury prone, which is an issue, but you can't really pick a player based on past injuries. You can't really not pick a player that is based on the past. So I think I have him in my team, or maybe I don't. But he's at a significantly decreased price to what he can do. 500k for a mid-edge duel. He hasn't played much footy in the past 2 years. That's your concern, I know, Will. But if he can stay fit, 500k is a great price for a player like him, averaging 40 from 60 minutes in his career, with many low outliers as well, like injury games, like 19, 10-point games. And great run of fixtures to start in the first five. Dual position, as mentioned, I can't find too much downside except past injury stats, but I feel like he can make some money. So I know what you think about Tom Gilbert, but would you come around to him?
Nah, Tom, I just think is not one I can really go off. I don't really see him having enough money for me to make or being like proven gun to go on my team. Like if you look at it, I feel like Corey Horse, who I have as my starting mid, has done it before when Tom has been a tier below that. And you look at my edge, Matty Nicholson for a 50k less, I like a lot more than Tom, and Papali'i I like a lot more than Tom because Matty, I mean, bit of pod about him, but also looks like a very good player. And Tom kind of doesn't have as good of a running game as those two edges there. So for me, I think Tom just doesn't really blend in. He has very good dual position. Like it'll be very handy having him in that 500k. He could definitely get up to 600k, but I don't see him getting anywhere further than that. And I see a lot of risks because I think he has been injured the last 2 years, both of ACLs. People aren't going with Tino because they're worried about his ACL. So why are you not worried about Tom Gilbert, two back-to-back ACL surgeries?
Um, you were mentioning before, yeah, Matty Nicholson and Corey Horsburgh. My only reason I'd take Tom over Corey is that Tom is going to play 12, which is great. He's locked that spot in, and he's also, I think, going to captain, which is great for him. And I think Corey Horsburgh will come off the bench in that 15 spot, and his minutes might be there, they might not. And Matty Nicholson, I also see playing 17. So minutes wise, I'd take Tom Gilbert as his spot is locked in. Points wise, Corey Horsburgh has a mad PPM, so that's the only reason I'd get him. But I think Gilbert could get 65 to 70 minutes, and that's why I'd probably get him over Corey. But we'll move on. Our cheapie center, we've gone Jack Bird again. Oh, hang on a minute. Oh,
Very cheapy edge.
I meant to change that to Cheapie Edge, but it says Cheapie Center because I copied the PowerPoint slide. But you get what I mean. Cheapie Edge, gone Jackbird again just because of the center edge duel. Um, like we've already explained him. He can play two positions, and I think he's still the best cheapie edge that we have. Maybe even Dimitri Valmarga or Valmulga from the Warriors. He's great, 297k. Looked very nice off the bench for the Warriors. Big boy, runs it hard, but I still think he Jack Bird's more solidified. Hopefully, will play lock and make heaps of money. So we've already talked about him. Let's move on. Gun middle. Isaiah Yo, same as last time. 865k. Reliability and performance is the title. He's been known for his consistency for as long as I can remember. Mr. Consistent, averaging almost 60 in his lengthy career. Absolute workhorse, rarely misses a game, and he's just someone you can lock in your team and just leave there till the end, which I'm a big fan of. Same with Cleary. Never gets injured. The bloke never misses a game, which is great. So you really do not have to worry about him. Fixture proof, tough run of fixtures in the first five. However, he's like I mentioned, fixture proof. It doesn't matter who he's versing. He could be versing the uh the Immortals or whatever, and he'd still pump out 60 to 65 points. I don't think his scoring will slow down. In my team and should be in yours if you want a gun middle. So do you agree with that, Will?
Yeah, incredibly uh interested in Isaiah Yo. So consistent, and I think he's someone that can really pump out big scores too. Like we've seen him get 80s and that, and doesn't get injured, which is why I like him over Payne Haas because Haas can get injured and he's kind of I think needs a lot of minutes to score big. But I think Yo guaranteed 80, and I also think the Yo fairy tale is coming alive with him. I think needing more minutes for this Panthers side to perform better. So I would be expecting Yo 80 minutes every game and more of more outcome to come for him.
He almost gets 80 minutes every game anyway. Like we normally take him off with about 5 to 10 minutes left to play. But you did say about Payne Haas how he needs big minutes to score big, which is I don't think's true. He can get 40 minutes and score 60 points. We've seen it before. But yeah, I'd still take Yo over Haas just because of um consistency, efficiency, and just how he finds a way to play every game. So that's Isaiah Yo. Next player, your man, Corey Horsburgh. Um, I found it hard to leave him out, even though I did mention about his minutes risk. But as you see here, PPM of 0.95 across his career and an average, let's say, yeah, an average of 45 when getting over 40 minutes and but below 50. Those numbers I think are very promising. I just hope he gets some minutes. When he comes off the bench, he's only played about, I think, 4 games where he gets over 50 minutes, which is concerning. But look, 0.95 ppm. All he needs is 40 to 45 minutes to get you some good output of almost 50 points. So, what do you think of Corey?
Yeah, I do think that Corey is really good option. I think when he plays 80 minutes, or not play 80 minutes, but 60 minutes to start and lock, he is going to average 55. We've seen it before. Ricky has said it's the fittest Corey's ever been, and he will definitely be in the 17 starting for round one. I think even off the bench, he could still get 50 minutes, and I do think that it's Corey's season, bounce back season for Corey. I think he's one that's close to a must have and is currently sitting as vice captain in my side.
Interesting. Do you think I think he plays 15 though. I don't think he finds a way into your team. I mean into the starting 13. If he's playing 15, do you still think he's a must-have? Like I could only see him being a must-have if he's starting prop or starting lock. But at
Now,
the moment,
if he's
yeah,
starting
go on.
where, you cut out for a bit.
Oh, I can only see him being a must-have if he's starting lock or starting prop. So what do you reckon?
I think he still gets the minutes. I mean, he said that he's been extremely fit, and I think he can definitely play himself into that starting lineup. He, I know Hudson Young and Ricky Stewart has backed Corey to be in the Origin 17 this year, so highly touted, and I think it's one you really got to get in.
Yeah, okay. So do you see him playing lock or prop this year off the bench?
Lock. I think he's going to start at lock over what's his face,
Yeah, I'm trying to think of him as well. They're 13. I know the face, I just don't know the name.
Morgan Smithies.
Um, yeah, Morgan Smithies, correct. Uh, if he can start at lock, you are probably right. He is a must-have for that price with an PPM. He's a tackle machine, running machine, but you just got to wait and see. A bit closer to starting date for the season, but at the moment, good option. Our cheapie, same as last time. Royce Hunt, 275k. He was a beast at the Sharks, one of their best impact players, scoring tries off the bench for fun and just running the ball so hard. He needs about 4 blokes to tackle him. And yeah, with a fresh move to the Tigers, there's no reason you can't do that again off the bench, which I've tipped him to start off the bench. But he might even snag the starting role over David Clemmer. What do you reckon about that?
Yeah, if he snags the starting role, definitely a must-have. Should get 40 odd minutes there. I think even more. A little bit of risk coming with Royce. I mean, it is close to baseman price, so you won't lose much money on Royce. But a little bit of risk being he's never really been a 40-minute player or 35-minute player. But if he can get fit enough and play like 35 to 40 minutes, he's got a lot of money to make. And one that I'm really interested in, and I think the Tigers needed his size there.
Hmm. There will come those games with Royce where he may come off the bench, get 30 minutes, but a try as well. And with a PPM of about 1, if he scores a try with 30 minutes, he'll probably get 40 to 45 points, which is great for a guy that cheap. I have seen a few teams with Royce Hunt, they're starting middle, and I advise you if that is one of you, that's probably a bad decision. I'd probably lock him into the emergencies and wait and see the sort of minutes he gets. But overall, great option for the price, especially with a mid who has a PPM of 1. Next, final position, gun hookers Harry Grant hasn't changed from last week. One arguably the best hooker in the comp in the past few years, him or Damien Cook, but I'd take Harry Grant. Absolute workhorse, making tackles for fun, and he does it efficiently too, doesn't miss too many. I can't really say anything negative about him except for the round two bye. Does make things a little bit tricky, but with the round two bye, you can just use him as a looping option, which is great because you should have a looping option every week. Ideally, that'd be great. But I can't find too many negatives on him. I personally don't have him in my team, but if you want a gun hooker, it's got to be Harry. So what do you reckon about him?
Yeah, I don't think there's many negatives in Harry at all. Probably the round two buy and his massive price point. But for me, the reason I was very big on Harry, but I haven't started with him just because I've got Munster in there and I'm in and out of having Howarth in there. And if I have Harry and if I do end up going with Pappenhausen, that is four Storm players. And yeah, I do think he had a really down year last year, and I do see a bounce back coming back for Harry. I wouldn't be surprised if he averaged 60 at all. He has done it before, and I do think the Storm getting a bigger middle in Stefano could see less missed tackles for Harry Grant, who I hope you did mention this guy next in the mid-range price, but I'm also very interested in. But yeah, someone I really like.
I don't know if I've mentioned your guy, but the guy I've mentioned, I'm extremely interested in, Jeremy Marshall King. I am very keen on Marshall King. Um, 590K. I think he's undervalued almost. Just 0.9% owned, which is crazy. And some great opening five fixtures, as mentioned before, with Tommy Gilbert. I think people are just put off him by the injury label next to his name, but he's gonna 90% sure he will play round one. And against the Rabbits, according to the NRL app, he averages 56 against them. I'm just not sure why he's not getting talked about. Um, I can't see anything wrong with him other than maybe some little injury niggles. But what do you reckon about Marshall King?
I don't think he really has enough value there to be made. I don't think he's going to be a proven gun this year. Compared when you look at people like I have Aaron Clark over him because he's got another 100K less on him that and he could be definitely a proven gun if he plays at 13 well with that dual position. And I also would go Appy Coruscant over him because, as I said with Grant, he's got that improved two big bodies in the middle now and a better defensive structure around him. I do think Harry could
The
definitely, sorry, Appy Coruscant could definitely score better than Jeremy and get off the missed tackles. Going back to Marshall King, a very good player that is should play 80 minutes at hooker, but I just think yeah, injury woes and amount of times I brought him in, then he's been injured. And he's not an amazing team, so that's why I'd look to go one of those two players over him. But definitely an interesting option and a pot option.
yeah, what I think about what you just said. Um, the only reason I didn't go Api Coruscant was because I'm sure he's suspended for round one, correct?
Yeah.
And that's just the reason I didn't put him in because I wanted to put in players who will be available for round one, except the players who have a bye. But what else was I going to say? I like Jerry Marshall King just because the spot's his and it will always be his. He barely has any competition off the bench, with Max Plath being his only real other good nine who will be playing 13. I think he'll get 75 to 80 minutes. Injury niggles are the only concern, but I'm not too concerned in that. If you don't want if you don't want a Harry Grant because of the bye and you want to cash down a little bit, I think Marshall King's a great option. And I also think that Aaron Clark won't start, and I'm not big on Aaron Clark at all. But you just got to wait for further notice. But I'm a big fan of Marshall King, especially
Look,
at 0.9% owned.
Aaron Clark started over
The final player
Dylan
was
Walker
that,
this
sorry?
weekend. Aaron Clark started over Dylan Walker in the trials, and now pretty much playing a full strength Warriors team.
Yeah, I guess, but they didn't play Dylan Walker, and Dylan Walker will play. It's
Yeah,
pretty
but
simple. I don't think Aaron
he was
Clark
in their
starts.
28 jersey, so maybe he's just out of
Yeah,
favour.
exactly. Same as last week. Final player, cheapie hooker is Peter Mamazoulis, 319K. Uh, well, the stats don't lie. Average of 50.3 from just 70 minutes starting hooker in his career. He's like Jack Bird or Isaiah Longy. could be cash cow of the year and break even at just 24 against a struggling Dolphins side in our opening round. I don't see why Mamazulis can't, maybe not average 50, but I don't see why he can't average 40 to 50 pretty easily. So what do you reckon?
Oh yeah, definitely is one that I'm very interested in. He has done it before, but I think he won't play 80 minutes because I think they're going to have not Jeremy, Jamie Humphries on the bench. So expect around 60 to 65 minutes, but still at that price and that break even, I do think he can still hit above 60. He can still hit above 24, probably average around 35 to 40 in 65 minutes. If he gets 80 minutes, he could definitely average that 50 mark. And one that I think just one you go with for the start of the season and hope that you can cash him down at 500k.
No. Oh, I'm just trying to find it. Can't find it. Yeah, he's my starting hooker at the moment, which might sound no, actually no, it's not even Rogue. I've got Marshall King and then Moser. I haven't spent too much on hookers just because I'd rather stack up my mids and my wing fullback and edges. But he's my starting hooker, and It'll probably remain that way. And as you can see down the bottom, with the loss of Damien Cook, the spot's up for his. The spot is his up for grabs. And this was written a while ago, and his only real competition is probably Humphreys now, not Havili. So I don't think there is that much competition, and he'll probably get 60 to 70 minutes, which is great. Is there talks of Humphreys playing in the halves instead of nine?
Well, I think what's his face is injured to start with, or in doubt for round one is Corey, not Corey Horse, Cody Walker. So I mean, I think that he would go
Yeah,
into the nine position if he was to be injured. But yeah, if he plays 80 minutes round one, I do think he's a very good option here. Just quickly go
yeah,
through two players that you haven't mentioned in the last 2 minutes of this video. Two cheaper players is Mark Noah Kanisiwari, however you say that, and
oh, I
Savilio
don't know why I
Tamale.
say.
Rumors has it that Tamale is going to get the wing spot and
Yeah,
will get the center spot. Can you talk us through your interest in both these players?
I was gonna put Tamale instead of Jack Bird, but I just think Jack Bird's a more solid option. Tamale, if you do a bit of research into him for New South Wales Cup, I think in his last 14 games he scored about 6 or 8 tries and 4 try assists and led the competition in basically every attacking stat, like line breaks, running meters, tackle bust, post contact meters. Like he's an absolute beast. And he is tipped to play two, not centers, but even if he doesn't, he's tipped to play two. We'll get that center wing fullback duel, 250k. Um, Absolute beast. He's so good. I he will start. He's in my team, not starting center, but he's on my bench, and I think he should be on yours as well. And just quickly, who else was it? Oh, Mark. Mark, 350k. Should start center, and coming from Wallabies, he's got a lot to prove. And we've seen a glimpse of him last year. He averaged about 40 or something playing on the wing, and center is even easier than wing for points wise. And he's a tackle busting machine, so that's why I'm so keen on him. He is also in my team on the bench. So Tamale and Mark, both great options, along with Mamazulis. That is all we have time for today. Bit of a similar video to a few weeks ago, but a few different players. Thanks for all the support, and just let us know if you have any questions. Any final comments, Will?
No, good. Thanks, legend. See you in the next one.
Thanks, legends. Catch you in the next video.